Hi, welcome to another video. So, Kimi K2.5 just became the #1 most used model for OpenClaw on OpenRouter. And if you don't know what OpenClaw is, you're about to find out why this combination is actually really interesting. This is basically a way to get an AI agent that actually does stuff for you, running on one of the most capable open source models out there. Now, let me explain what's going on here. OpenClaw is that open source AI agent that went viral a few months back. You might know it from its previous names, Claudebot and then Multbot. It's essentially a personal AI assistant that can run tasks for you through messaging apps like WhatsApp, Telegram, Slack, Signal, and a bunch of others. And when I say tasks, I mean real tasks. It can clear your inbox, send emails, manage your calendar, check you in for flights, book travel, and even do things like debugging code and deploying updates. The tagline is literally, the AI that actually does things, which is pretty accurate to be honest. The cool part is that it's model agnostic. You can bring your own API keys and use whatever model you want. Claude, GPT, Gemini, local models, whatever. But here's the thing. Kimi K2.5 has now become the default choice for a lot of people using OpenClaw, and there's a good reason for that. Kimi K2.5, made by Moonshot AI, is a 1 trillion parameter mixture of experts model, but it only activates 32 billion parameters per request, which makes it super efficient. It was released in January 2026, and it's completely open source under the MIT license, which means you can use it for whatever you want, commercial or otherwise. Now, what makes Kimi K2.5 particularly good for agents is something called agent swarm technology. This lets the model spin up to 100 sub-agents that can execute up to 1,500 tool calls in parallel. They claim this gives you about 4.5 times faster execution compared to regular sequential agent approaches. For something like OpenClaw that needs to handle multiple tasks at once, this is exactly what you want. It's also natively multimodal. Moonshot trained it on 15 trillion tokens, mixing visual and text data together from the start. So vision and language capabilities develop together rather than being separate features bolted on later. This is great because OpenClaw often needs to deal with screenshots, documents, and visual stuff when automating tasks. So, let's talk about how you actually set this up, because that's the big news here. OpenClaw now natively supports Kimi K2.5, which means the setup is way simpler than it used to be. First, go to OpenClaw.ai and install OpenClaw. Once you launch it, choose Quick Start when it asks for the onboarding mode. This will walk you through the minimal configuration needed. In the model/auth provider step, you'll see a bunch of options including OpenAI, Anthropic, Google, and others. Select Moonshot AI, which is labeled as Kimi K2.5, and it shows Kimi K2.5 plus Kimi coding. Now you have 3 options for authentication. Option 1 is the Kimi Code plan. This is a fixed monthly subscription with a token usage cap. This is recommended if you're new to OpenClaw or you want predictable costs. To use this, select Kimi Code API Key Subscription, then go to kimi.com/code/console to create your API key and paste it into OpenClaw. Options 2 and 3 are the Kimi API options. These are pay as you go, meaning you only pay for the tokens you actually use with no monthly cap. This is better if you've exhausted your code plan quota or if you want unlimited, long-running agent usage. You can choose either Kimi API Key.ai for the international Moonshot platform with USD billing or Kimi API Key.cn if your balance is on the mainland China platform. Then go to platform.moonshot.ai/console/API-keys or the CN version to create your key. That's it. Once your API key is configured, OpenClaw starts running on Kimi K2.5 immediately. No extra adapters, no workarounds, which is pretty great. The pricing is also really competitive. Kimi K2.5 API costs about 60 cents per million input tokens and $2.50 per million output tokens. Compare that to something like GPT 5.2 or Claude 4.5 Opus, and you're looking at significantly lower costs. And for agent workloads that can rack up a lot of tokens, this adds up fast. Now, why is Kimi K2.5 becoming the go-to model for OpenClaw users? A few reasons. First, the agent swarm parallel execution is basically built for this use case. When OpenClaw needs to check your email, update your calendar, and send a message all at once, having parallel subagents is a huge advantage. Second, the model benchmarks really well on agentic tasks. On BrowseComp, which tests web browsing capabilities, Kimi K2.5 scores 74.9% compared to GPT 5.2's 59.2%. For an agent that needs to navigate websites and interact with web apps, that matters a lot. Third, it's open source, so you can run it locally if you want full privacy, or use the API if you want convenience. OpenClaw is built to be privacy-focused and model-agnostic, so having a strong open source option that works natively is exactly what a lot of users wanted. There are some things to keep in mind, though. OpenClaw, by its nature, has access to a lot of stuff. The documentation literally says there is no perfectly secure setup, so you need to understand what you're giving the agent access to. The recommended baseline is to use pairing and allow lists, sandbox with least privilege tools, keep secrets out of the agent's reachable file system, and use the strongest available model for bots with tools or untrusted inboxes. They also recommend running OpenClaw Security Audit -- Deep and OpenClaw Security Audit -- Fix regularly. If you're technical enough to understand those implications and set things up properly, this is a pretty powerful combination. Kimi K2.5 gives you frontier-level capabilities at a fraction of the cost, and OpenClaw gives you a way to actually put those capabilities to work on real tasks. I think this is a good example of what the AI agent ecosystem is becoming. We have open source models that can compete with the best closed source options, and we have open source agent frameworks that can use them. The fact that you can message your AI assistant on WhatsApp and have it do actual work for you, powered by a trillion parameter model that's completely open source, is pretty wild when you think about it. Overall, it's pretty cool. Anyway, share your thoughts below and subscribe to the channel. You can also donate via Super Thanks option or join the channel as well and get some perks. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.